Yeah.
I'm
So
wondering if she took it back.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. You ain't saying
yeah.
it. It's all good.
Sorry about that.
It's all good.
Mhm.
But so all right. So it's 2023, Doc. There's good things coming down the line. You talked about the number 7, the number 8, but there's a lot of evil forces at play. So people trying to figure out, they want to elevate their consciousness, they want to elevate their spirit. They're trying to figure out how to get around these forces that we talk about. And people want to know what should they be doing right now. Maybe in 2023, what they should be doing is different from what they should be doing in 2018. We don't know. But that's what we're here to talk to you about, Doc. What do you recommend right now with the direction society's going? We see AI virtually taking over everywhere. I see AI is like advancing extremely fast. They got the chat GT and the AI artists and all of that. I don't know if all of this is slowing our elevation down spiritually, but talk to me about some of the things we need to do, Doc, at this moment in history, 2023, so-called 2023, to continue to raise our consciousness to where it should be at that time at this time.
That's a good question. The amount of work it's going to take for us to actually transition, because
Mm,
that's what we're in a transition cycle,
mm,
and that transition cycle becomes ever more um, difficult when we look to all the things that are difficult around us. We tend to adapt to the difficulty and bring it into our lives. The difficulty is going to be in us convincing ourselves that we have a solution, and we have to stop looking to them because they're stating the problem and telling you what the solution is. You're not meditating on what each of these solutions is supposed to be for you. You're looking at the news, you're hearing the problems from other people, and so the news is telling you, well, here's what your problems are: war, pestilence, famine, disease, poverty. And that's all you keep getting. The news is a cycle of death and destruction, and everything having to do with you being dependent on the next I guess solution that the people who are playing the Hegelian dialectic on you, problem reaction solution. You're looking for the solution based upon the problems they're telling you have. Well, of course, yes, they're telling you have problems based upon the ones that they impose upon you. But have you first cleared up the problems within the family?
mm,
What is your trust between you and your wife and your husband, the children and you?
mm,
What trust do you have first and foremost? What kind of relationship do you have? What are you preparing your family for?
mm,
And if you don't have a family, if you have, say, an extended family, what are you all discussing within those ranks?
mm,
Are you discussing everything based upon what they're telling you the problem is? Because the first thing we have to do is to begin to trust one another again. What
mm,
they've done is destroyed the very fabric of solution making units, and that is family.
mm,
Family always comes up with a solution because families will get together with other families knowing exactly what we need.
mm,
But now we have all these scattered relationships. We don't
mm,
even know what the genders are. We have independent this and dependent that, and everybody is now scattered because there's no unifying force, which is family. Now everybody say, well, I don't have this and this, but I consider this people family. But what have you all worked out with each other?
mm,
That's number one. The family has to be on the same page. You got to sit down and listen to what it is they're telling you the problem is, and then look at your resources. Look at the people that you know you can trust and have faith in that they will come to your aid and you can come to their aid. Because this is what's going to come. It's going to come down to the fact that who do you know that you
mm,
can actually depend on?
mm,
A lot of people are not thinking about that.
mm,
They're always looking out to the television for their solutions.
mm,
They got to go within.
mm,
Now you have everything you need to have solutions. You know what you need to do. You need to start stocking up food.
mm,
Okay, and there are people out there that have food pantries that you could purchase from. If you don't have enough money to do that, Get together with a collective and start bringing food in. Water. Get your water together so that you can actually have water delivered to you. Make sure it's purified, it's run through a particular system and a filtering system that you can use for your family. Store up,
Mm-hmm.
if you have infants, store up on specific nutrition that you're going to
Mm-hmm.
need, especially if you're a nursing mother. You get
Mm-hmm.
that Juice Plus, and you get for baby food, they have organic baby food that you can create for yourself. Start getting into menus where you don't have to go out to eat constantly. See, there's a lot of little things that we take for granted that
Granted,
we've
yeah,
we've assigned to other people to do for us.
you're right.
But the first foundation is what are you and your family doing together? Because a lot of times things we got people two people working in a house, for example. They don't want to, they don't want to talk about nothing. They're so tired. They want to get in, look at a little TV, and go back to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes this monotonous thing that we do that we just lose sight of our humanity. And now that we are under a crisis, our humanity is something that we should cherish more than anything else right now.
Excellent.
Okay? So, family first, find out what you can trust, what you have, what your resources are. Make sure that you're getting ready to take your stuff out of the banks and putting them where it is. We told you that you need that you get into. You get into your glint, you get into some cryptocurrency that you've done vetting on, like XRP, XLM, XDC, Quant. These are going to be for the future,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Because money is going to change. Get into some gold. If you don't have gold, you can always get into a group. They have groups now that buy gold, have it stored someplace for them, and they can share it like a bank. They're creating modules of people who are buying gold, and that's going to become their bank.
Excellent.
You see? So these are the little things that you could be doing to help yourself. I do suggest that you take my course so that you can get into the metaphysics of what it is that this new cycle is going to be representing, especially in your mind and what's going to happen to you as the dome shifts and the programming changes so that a lot of people are going to have spiritual experiences. They're going to see things. They're going to hear things that does not comport with their mundane existence. And some people flip out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of that. And that's the ones that are going into the fentanyl and taking in all these drugs and so forth because they can't cope with the shifting of the frequency and the energy. And that's what's happening also. Remember, the word is changing its frequency inside of the atom, and therefore inside of your cells, and therefore inside of your body, and therefore inside of your mind. So know that when we talked about, I think, I don't know if you recorded that part where I talked about the Hadron Collider
Yeah.
creating that
Yeah.
God particle. Well,
Yeah.
the God particle is now said, okay, time's up. It's time to change the way you think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to send more frequency energies, a higher level of frequency energies, so that your body is going to ache, your head is going to ache, things about you are going to be tense for a
Mm-hmm.
while. You're not going to be able to sleep sometimes. All of that is the shifting cycle.
Mm. So some people will be experiencing the shift, and they may mistake it for something health wise, like they're not eating right, but it's really just a shift. You say.
Right. And they're going to have some people are going to find themselves shaking for some reason. They've never shook before.
Mm.
What's wrong with my body? It's because there is an amp. It's like you're getting more juice pumped into you based upon the tenor of the time. Now remember, I told you that the sun is a computer, and it is a form of irradiating consciousness. It is what's changing the atmospheric dynamic of the spin particles in the air because remember
Mm-hmm.
everything is water.
Mm-hmm.
So the water in your body is matching the change in frequency, and the sun is giving the instructions to. Well, the sun actually is another part of your solar plexus, and as I was saying in my university, how the kundalini rises and your heart is connected directly to your pineal.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't know that. The heart is the seat of the soul. Now, when you begin to deal with the unconditionalness of love, because when we talk about love, it's like, what can you do for me? What are you bringing to the table, and so forth.
Right, right.
There's a place where you have to go if you truly want to get into your spiritual self, where I've been teaching this for like decades. There's a place you need to go within that completely dispenses with your qualification of what is good and what is evil. There's
Mm-hmm.
an unconditionalness that you have to think. That's the Ma'atian principle. It does not judge,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that's what we need to do in order for our physical frame to exist. But there is a place of unconditionalness,
Mm-hmm.
which we call unconditional love, that activates something within the bloodstream and blood crystals. That energy then causes a spark from the heart
Mm-hmm.
that filters through the solar plexus. That's the sun in as the sun out.
Mm-hmm.
The solar plexus, SOUL, from the heart,
Mm-hmm.
SOULRA, solar plexus.
Mm-hmm.
That now begins the rising energy, and it gets into the third and fourth ventricle of the brain, what my students know as the cave of Brahma,
Mm-hmm.
because there's something in there called the substantia nigra. It's all black.
Right, right.
And remember,
You
you
talked
hear me
about that.
speak about that many
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
Well, as the love energy, the solar energy, that spark goes up and travels the back end, the backside, as Moses, the backside, and then crosses. That's the crucifixion at the medulla oblongata. That's where the differentiation between the two thieves. That's when the Christ energy begins to light up the pineal gland, and that's at that particular time there's a burst of phosphine energy, almost like the fireworks,
Mm-hmm.
and then an arc, a rainbow arc, appears over the pineal.
Mm.
That arc is the first and only true arc
Of
of
the
the
covenant.
covenant.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this some people that happens to them automatically, and a lot of them are locked up in institutions right now. Why? Because nobody knows what's going on with them, and they don't know what happened to them. Some of them automatically trigger a kundalini rising,
Mm-hmm.
and that could happen. In sex, it could happen as well too. But like I said, this is a cleansing time and a resting time and an elevation time. It's also everything's happening right now. The time of rest that you see in the Bible, when they talk about God resting,
Mm-hmm.
no, there was a calculation before what becomes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is already consolidated within the seven before it becomes the eight. And then the eight begins the law. The eight creates the law for what was in the seven
Mm-hmm.
because it becomes the cycle. As above, so below.
What's this? I hear people talk. There's so much talk on the internet. There's a lot of it's misinformation. Some of it is useful, but on TikTok, a lot of people talking about the sun is blinking. Is there any truth to that? The
Well,
sun blinking?
there might be people working around the sun because I know that China launched an artificial sun.
Mm.
Did you hear what I
Yeah, I
said?
heard about. Yeah, I heard about.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So you got people that's messing with the God principle.
Uh-huh.
So what we have to do, we have to remember that there are people who want to play God because
Mm-hmm.
they've now found a few scientific secrets and so forth. In fact, they've been trying to dig up graves in order to get the DNA from our ancestors. And supposedly the Iraq War, for example,
Mm-hmm.
was them going in after the Nephilim, you know, and going in after the Stargate that they found there. But
Mm-hmm.
they said that they went into the museum to dig up the bones of what they had secretly in Iraq, which were these skulls that were about this big that
Mm-hmm.
belonged supposedly to what they called the Nephilim, and they wanted to take that DNA in order to infuse it through the CRISPR technology. They want to
Mm-hmm.
resurrect Akhenaten. They want to resurrect Ramesses. They want to resurrect the Luciferian energies that were in some of these evil bastards that were destroyed by humanity, who came down and we overthrew them.
Mm-hmm.
because of what they were actually doing to enslave lots of what humanity was about, or to take over the bodies of what humanity was about. But
Mm-hmm.
like I said, this being a spiritual time, uh, it's to watch your thoughts, because they're going to be more and more vulnerable to influence, and to even walk-ins to take you over. And watch your children too, because these creatures are using their blood as sacrifice. Be very mindful of your children.
No, definitely, definitely. What do you? What's this? You know, we're talking about things that happen with the body, like we was talking about the Kundalini. What
Mhm.
happens on the inside of your body when somebody gets goosebumps? Like there's been times in everybody's life where they may have read something or they see somebody or something happens and they just get goosebumps all over. What is going on with the goosebumps?
Goosebumps is actually a contraction that your skin does in order to conserve heat.
Mm,
Because a lot of times, if you're getting goosebumps, um, there is this feeling of coldness that comes over you, fear. So your body, when if you say you're fearful of something and you get goosebumps, or if you're cold and you get goosebumps, the body retains does that to retain heat, so that it gives the organs in your body protection, and the ability to regulate energy towards the adrenals, so you can either fight or or run.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm. Definitely interesting. So, with you was talking about some of the things people need to do in terms of growing their own food. Is these food prices? Do you think they're going down anytime soon? Because
Um,
the way the food prices is crazy, doc.
oh no, I heard that they first of all they were killing off all kind of cows. Number one, they've been slaughtering cows. I'm not talking about slaughtering for food, killing them. Period.
Just killing them.
Just
Okay.
killing them. Up in, I think it was, I don't know if it's in Oklahoma or in Denver or someplace out there. Tens of thousands of cows were killed. They're destroying crops right now, so that the corn, for example, the corn, the seeds of the corn, are not actually germinating properly. And
Mm-hmm.
you gotta look at the what they're spraying up above as well.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you're dealing with Monsanto, and there's a lot of the so-called third world countries. They've been uh, they've been going to court against Monsanto, because the people are actually dying from these non-regenerative seeds, or seed crops that they create. The genetics of the genetically engineered food are affecting the healthy genetics of human beings, which essentially is part of the plan anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because the generational seeds, or the grandfather seeds, I call them, and grandmother seeds, they have them stored up in Alaska, or some cold deposit in Switzerland. I mean, it's underground. Hundreds of tons of seeds are underground.
Wow.
Real seeds. I'm not talking
Yes.
about these seeds that you're dealing with here.
Yeah.
You know.
Damn. Wow. And what about the weather? Do you see it getting hotter and hotter? Like, what do you see as far as the weather?
Well, nature shifts herself if she's diseased. For instance, your body, when it becomes diseased, it heats up.
Mm-hmm.
That's to burn it off. That's the interferon, so that the body will burn whatever is there, cause whatever is there to be destroyed in the bloodstream, and then you sweat it out through a fever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that's what's happening with Mother Nature. All the crap that European technologies of the past has been doing to the planet. There's no global warming. The warming is the fluctuation of temperatures in the body of the earth, the living body of the earth, to offset and to purify itself from what man is. The earth is just going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
All this other stuff about the earth warming up and polar bears can't get on the ice anymore, that happens constantly. It's hundreds of thousands of years of that particular cycle taking place. New continents rise as old continents fall.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Oh.
going to see that happen. And there's nothing coming from outer space. It's coming from outside of the dome, where there are other domed realities that live along the flatted plane of what we call Earth.
Speaking of the dome, and a lot of people talk about the flat Earth versus round Earth. Depending on whether Earth is flat or round, does it affect our ability to manifest on this realm? What effect does that have on us? Because the Earth is flat or because it's round?
Well, our perception is what makes the earth and reality what it is.
So it
If
could be both. They could be round and flat.
Yeah, but we couldn't live on a round earth.
Okay.
The reason for that is if it's spinning at what the levels they're saying it is. What I'm saying is our perception is what makes reality come about, which
Uh-huh.
is why our perception of reality is conditioned very early.
Hmm.
From the time you're a little boy or little girl
Yeah.
in school, the first thing you see on the teacher's desk is a round globe.
Hmm.
That you imprint from the beginning. And that's the time when children learn at their fastest and their most complete.
Hmm.
They lay down foundations in their learning that stays with them throughout. And of
Hmm.
course, if you're consistent with that particular programming, that's all they know all the way up to adulthood.
So yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
once you do that, then that fixation causes the world to become, if you have billions of people thinking that way, then
Hmm.
that's what it is. That's all they will see because that's all the conditioning will be. But those who break away and see it because they're saying, wait a minute, something's a little different here. When the reality happens and you begin to understand that water cannot live on a, because none of the physics show that water sticks to anything as you curve it.
Hmm.
Okay? Gravity, whatever. Nonsense. In fact. So the higher up you go in an airplane, as you've heard me say and you heard others say, the horizon rises with you. So if that's the case, if you're curved, let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Okay, if you're curved like this and I'm rising up, I should be able to see the curve after I've reached a certain height above the earth. We don't. And people in airplanes, they know and they see that if the convex of the plane's windows, if they're made in such a way that it distorts your vision of the earth, but there are times if you can just look just right, you will see that the horizon is completely flat. And you see it sometimes in the new movie that was out called Top Gun. There was a time when you saw that these planes were way up in the air, and when they showed you the horizon, it was flat.
Hmm.
The higher up you go, if it's 25,000 miles around, as they say,
Hmm.
only 25,000 miles around, they say.
Hmm.
If that's the case, and I rise up to a certain height, 6 feet at a time, I should be able to see the curve.
Hmm.
All airplanes have gyroscopes that show a flat horizon line. No airplane ever shows a curved horizon line.
Hmm.
No engineer, for example, who's laying down railroad tracks ever factors for a curvature of the earth.
Hmm.
NASA knows that. Everyone who are engineers, scientists who deal with buildings, they know that the earth does not curve. That's a lie. That is one of the biggest lies. And once the change of perception takes place, then everything that they're putting down will be questioned. That's why they have to maintain that and have people like they have jackasses like Neil deGrasse Tyson going
Hmm.
around showing. They had one demonstration. He has this big ball Earth, and he has one of the people who are the workers come with a little moon, and says, "Okay, where do you think the moon is in conjunction with the Earth? This is the Earth, and let's say that this is the moon." And so the guy's standing here, and this is the Earth, and he's standing. He says, "Well, how about here?" So the guy, Neil deGrasse, of course, he's a showman. He says, "Nah." Eh. He says, "Start." He said, "Turn around and start walking." So the guy ends up walking all the way off stage, And he says, well, the reason why it looks like that on your page in your book is because we have to scrunch the picture together. That's his excuse.
Mm. Wow.
We have to squinch the picture together. This is the nonsense that they're telling people, and this is us to behave because these are the high priests of high knowledge. They know everything.
Mm.
So we just surrender our critical thinking because we've been conditioned to believe exactly what it is he continues to propagate. But now I come along, and brother King Simon asks him, "I'd like you to speak. You to be on the stage. I'll take care of everything. You will talk with Dr. Valentine and blah blah blah." King Simon said, "The guy, I guess, after a while, he went back to him and he said no. Why? Because I had the scientific facts to show that he was full of you know what, and that he's a lie. He's a shill for the Vatican."
Mm. Wow.
So when perception changes, this is what seven is about. Seven is about the occult. Seven is about metaphysics. That's why I really, really, I'm not just doing this for myself because I'm just telling you all that my university teaching metaphysical psychology, it is to change your psychology and the way that you're thinking outside of the box so that you can understand what the invisible world, how that language works before it becomes visible.
What's the website, Doc? You didn't get the website earlier. What's the website to the
Uh,
university?
I guess in I sent you everything in
Oh,
your
it's
email.
in a yeah, yeah. Let me see. It's right here. All right, my fault. www.uksnow.org.
Yeah, uksnow.org.
I'm gonna put Doc's whole list in the chat, family, of everything that he got going on, whether it's the Glint, Juice Plus, Novatech, homeschooling. I'm gonna put all that right now because it's in the description. Y'all could go to the description and see it, but I'm gonna put it in the chat for y'all so y'all could check it out. A lot of things going on with Dr. Valentine. I just they gave me an error code. Well, you'll see it. Yeah, you'll see some of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Uh,
yeah, yeah. So
Doc, somebody
yeah,
Good. No,
yeah. Somebody had a
somebody,
question.
yeah, somebody had an interesting question when you was just talking about flat Earth. They said, if the Earth is flat, how do you explain different time zones?
The time zones are artificial. They're just based upon where the sun is at a particular time in the circle as it circles above us. The if you're looking at the circle, which essentially this, let's just say you're looking at this, the
Hmm.
sun and the moon. This is the sun. This is the moon. As the sun circles above us, it circles in a parabolic manner. So it's almost like elongated. It goes.
Mm,
Now, we just came out of the cycle where it went 3 days in one direction at the southern tip, and it stayed there in this particular cycle for 3 days before now it starts towards the northern hemisphere.
mm,
What happens is it gets, for us in the northern hemisphere, as it comes out of June the 21st, that's where that's Judas, that's the crab
mm,
that goes sideways. That's the one that betrays Jesus, the
mm,
Christ, the Son,
mm,
and it goes down. It begins a long parabolic spin or cycle going around further and further. It starts like this, and it begins to start going outward, outward, outward until it goes down to the lower part where it's summertime in Australia and wintertime up in the north. Now, after December 21st and 24th, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, on the 25th, it now starts its cycle back up to the north, like you see now. And as it comes to the north, its circles becomes tighter and tighter and tighter, and the days become longer for us. So as it's not that the sun is going down or we're spinning outside of the earth. They're really wicked with this, with the way that they played us. It's the sun is moving out of our influence. You'll notice it as it goes down into the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going anywhere. The sun is moving. They want you to believe that you're somehow moving in a circle when
Mm-hmm.
the sun is moving in a circle and it's moving outside the perimeters or outside of the level of your vision of the horizon. It goes beyond the horizon, and that's when darkness happens. And as it begins to come back up, it comes back up in what you call the east, and that begins the day again because it now begins to tighten its circle. This is how we're inside of a gigantic cyclotron. Go look up what a cyclotron is, and you'll see that we're like in a battery. The moon is the negative, the sun is the positive, or yeah, I think that's the one. Because no, I think the sun is the yeah, I think the sun is the electron, and the moon is the neutron or the proton. I got to remember what that cycle is about. But as the two of them are spinning, they're what's creating and causing the movement of life on Earth, the movement of the oceans, even storms. All of what's necessary to bring balance, because storms actually bring balance.
Mm-hmm.
Hurricanes bring balance. You see, and of
Indeed.
course, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a webinar long, flat plane, flat Earth webinar.
Uh-oh. 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 It's coming
I'm gonna
up.
put this. I'm gonna put this all to rest
Uh-huh.
completely, so that when you look at that, you will see the intricate science that they've been hiding from us, and you'll find out that the whole globe Earth actually started in the Vatican.
Uh-huh.
They started it in the Vatican to make you believe that you are not special, that your particular creational uh, cycle is not special to you. Now, for instance, I don't want to, just monopolize the conversation.
Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I always tell people this
Mhm.
in my students:
Uh-huh.
how do you create an atmosphere for humans, for things to live, for things to breathe? How do
How?
you create one?
How?
Most people don't know. Most people are not looking at the simplicity of life and not taking these people to task at what they tell us.
Mm.
Now, they tell us in the movies what it is that movies do. Movies are supposed to be showing us what science is supposed to, like Star Trek. They're
Mm-hmm.
telling you what could go beyond the fundamental science you know. Here's us taking fundamental science to the next level, and we're traveling into outer space,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They told you one thing. They said outer space is a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is a vacuum? A vacuum, essentially, as they told you, has no atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
There's no oxygen. There's no way for you to even hear sound in a vacuum. Yet still, in the movies, you got in Star Trek, you could hear the engines of the TIE fighters in outer space, which is supposed to be a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, you see in the movies when the hull of the ship is breached, everybody starts getting sucked out, right?
Right. Right.
Why? Because it's a vacuum. Everything just gets sucked out into the vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever noticed that we're on this round Earth, and when they show you these astronauts in outer space, there's this round Earth in outer space traveling at 65,000 miles an hour around the sun,
Mm-hmm.
spinning at 1,025 miles an hour, yet still we have an atmosphere. The Earth is here, that's the Earth, and right above us is space. That's a vacuum. How in the hell does a atmosphere exist in direct contact with a vacuum?
Mm.
They
Interesting.
say, well, gravity. Well, you have endless space. That's a vacuum. Is like what is the physics of a universe that's mostly vacuum with a little bit of little atmospheres and little planets, as they're saying. What is the comparison for a vacuum with an Earth that has an atmosphere of clouds and gases and so forth? Why are all the gases staying here? Why aren't the clouds being sucked out? Why are we still have an atmosphere to be able to breathe
Mm.
if we are right next to a vacuum?
Right, right, right.
I'll tell you what, we're under a dome. The only way for you to have an atmosphere is if you have a closed circuit, the way that you have the terrarium for plants.
Mm-hmm.
You must have an encasement for an atmosphere to exist. Otherwise, with the vast, enormous size of what space is, the vacuum for that is now, and the little bit of what we have of 25,000 miles and a little bit of atmosphere that's supposedly sealed around us based on a little bit of what they call gravity, which nobody can describe.
Mm-hmm.
Even your boy Gates and the rest of them, when you ask him what is gravity, your boy the clown of astrophysics says, "We don't know." Next, that's what he told the guy who asked him.
Who Gates?
Neil deGrasse
Oh,
Tyson.
no, the grad. Okay.
He says, "Neil, we were talking about this. People want to know what is gravity." He goes, "We don't know." Next. And he goes, "Well, it's this, this, and this, and it's a this. Give me a break.
Mm.
There's no such thing as gravity." And even Newton at the end admitted that he didn't know what the hell it was.
Mm.
But the smarter one, which was Tesla,
Mm.
he said that we live in a field of electromagnetics. If you understand electromagnetism, you understand life. All right? So we live under an isolating fabric. And you heard me say this since the 90s and the 80s when I was teaching metaphysics, that we are under a compressed hydrogen dome.
Mm.
And that's who is easing their way through the waters above to come into our reality through gates, harmonic and sonic and psionic and different energy patterns that can uh, de emphasize matter and
Mm.
re emphasize it into another plane. The same way our ancestors built all of these pyramids and these great underground cities that are being dug up. There's
Mm.
science that they're just now digging up, trying to find out how our ancestors did it. I'm sorry.
No, I'm very much interested in what you're saying. I mean, I never got deep into the flat Earth versus round
Mhm.
Earth discussion, so I'm just trying to understand everything that's going on within the conversation. You know
Yeah,
what
but I'm
I'm saying?
saying you have to understand, my beloved brother, that we are so deluded that
Mm.
what I'm saying sounds crazy.
Mm.
It sounded crazy to me when I was first, and it's only like the last 10 years,
Mm.
and it was because of a young girl that I told you that say, Dr. Valentine, the Earth is flat, and this is not. It wasn't new to me, which I said, yeah, I heard, I know, and if it wasn't for the brother Eric over there at the bookstore at Weiser's bookstore, who
Mm.
gave me that book by that European Janelli
Mm.
and Worlds Beyond the Poles. When he gave me that, I was not ready for it. So I kept on pushing about the ground earth because I too was deluded and
Mm.
I admitted to it. But then when it woke me back up and I said, you know what, let me go back and revisit the books that I had. And sure enough, I was ready. Just said when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Well, essentially, because I remained a student and I never just completely dismissed anything
Mm.
that the Most High said, "Here, open your eyes back up and come back onto the right path."
Indeed. You know, we hear so much about people saying there's more activity going on in the sky. I wonder, does that mean if there's more activity going on in our skies, does that mean there's more activity going on in the ocean?
Oh, you have no idea what's going
Oh,
on in the oceans.
oh man.
They said the sea shall give up her life and her death.
Mm.
The sea essentially is nothing more than a regurgitating, a time released regurgitation of human existence. In other words, the rise and falls of civilizations is based upon the rise and fall of the waters of life.
Uh-huh.
See? And we're discovering a lot of things under the ocean right now, especially entities that live, humans that live like fish under
Mm.
the ocean. And that soon will, come to pass. They're not going to really let you know about that for probably for a little while yet.
Yeah.
But there are entities that live just beyond our ability to see and feel them.
Mm.
But because of the resonating field that we exist in,
Mm.
the earth now is changing its frequencies so that those things that live just beyond our ability to see them through our senses
Mm.
are now popping up as
Uh,
images, driving people crazy, looking like
mm.
ghosts. So, with the shift of the frequencies, we're able to see layers of existence that exist just beyond the senses' ability to quantify them into a reality.
Is that when they say what you explain? Is that what you mean when they say the veil is thinning? The veil is
Yeah,
getting
the
thin.
veil is lifting,
The
actually.
veil is lifting.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. And what's happening is the veil on our eyes is based upon the pineal's ability to shed or to see. The pineal is like a penis,
Mm-hmm.
and they talk about. You've heard the talk about calcification of the pineal.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between the crystallization and calcification.
Mm-hmm.
The calcification is not a whole lot of calcium come. That's a misnomer. The calcification is this osseous, oily material that forms on the pineal
Mm-hmm.
that distorts the signals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because the signal bands become distorted once that oily material collects around it,
Mm-hmm.
and it then becomes flaccid. Now you know if you're trying to create anything with a female, ain't no flaccid penis gonna get in,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, if you look at a pineal that has been invested with the Kundalini force, which is the feminine energy, because the feminine energy is Kundalini, it's called the Nibonika fire. That's the seducer,
Mm-hmm.
that's the seduction. All right, she is the one who's dancing. You notice her shape is what we like to look at. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the shape is what it is. You notice what she looks like. A woman's hourglass figure is essentially you can look at it looking at the same way. It's the
Mm-hmm.
Kundalini energy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the Kundalini rising through the falling of the Ether and the Pingala, that becomes the seductor, that becomes the belly dancer, the one that seduces men because we're visual. And visual is what? The eyes. And what is the pineal? An eye.
All right. First time.
Right. So the Kundalini now becomes the seductress. And the
Mm-hmm.
pineal now is she's the Shakti, and he becomes the marriage. They call it the sacred marriage. Uh
Well, Shiva Shakti.
Shiva Shakti.
Shiva. Yeah. She. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So as he comes up, it then begins to light that lamp. It sparks
Mm-hmm.
in there, and the eye, the pineal stands up like the standing rod.
Yeah.
But then, if it's healthy, it's not osseous. It's covered with a crystal. The blood begins to titrate a crystalline, the same way that you see quartz, and that's when it begins to start becoming that sender, that broadcast receiver,
mm.
as she feeds it.
Right.
She start because when you got a fly woman and you got her alone and what do you call it? Boom, and she's soft and she's work. You first of all the standing rod starts moving. I remember back in
So.
the days, in the basement parties, you dance the slow dance and you
Yeah.
hope you could back away from her. Really conspicuous, like you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing Kundalini is. Kundalini is that internal sexual dynamic, and there's a sensualness that takes place in the body because, like they said, all sex is in the head first.
Yeah.
You
So,
see?
so, Doc, let me get this straight. So, the external representation of feminine energy
Hmm.
gets our penis hard, and
Right
the internal representation of feminine energy
at
gets
your
our
pineal.
pineal hard. God damn
There
it!
you go.
That damn black.
Now you got it.
Oh my God! Oh my
Now
God!
you got it.
Woo! That right there is the whole show. We can end it right now, family. We can end this show. I ain't got to do a show the rest of the year, y'all. I ain't got, woo! Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
man, that's
So
something, Doc.
yeah, well, that's what we teach at the university.
Oh,
You're gonna a lot of you can go up on the site the uksnow.org and click where it says testimonials,
mhm,
and we're so happy and we're proud about the fact that these young people came and it just changed their lives the way that I set the curriculum up. And, I'm talking about a diverse set of people from, and I think I've told you this from professional football and basketball players,
mhm,
musicians, just professors from MIT and Princeton and different places all around, all teachers, truck drivers, housewives. This is a university for your humanity,
mhm,
for you to teach you what you're missing as being a human being, because that's the thing less studied now that we are becoming so scientific and technological. The technology of the human being
mhm.
is so fascinating, and so
Yeah.
if we don't solve this tech, then that tech will take us over and
Mm,
solve our problems for us.
mm. When is the next semester in your university?
March the 4th. And we're actually, if you go up online and you click where it says registration, you can register and just put down that you're registering in the last box. Just put down that you're registering for MPSY 1, which is Metaphysical Psychology 1, our
Mm-hmm,
entry level course.
mm-hmm,
And that MPSY1, just put down registering for that spring semester 2023, and you'll be contacted, and then you can go through the process of enrollment. Of course, we meet on Saturdays at
mm,
10 a.m. In the morning Eastern time,
mm,
and we go on for as long as it takes for that particular lesson. Of course, homework is required
mm,
because you have to apply what we review in the
mm,
class. You get to keep your tuition. You get to keep the PowerPoint presentation,
mm,
and you get to keep the audio
mm.
because you have to study. So by the time you're done, you have a complete catalog of
Right.
the semester that you can go over and over again. And my students have called me back and said, I went over the classes that we had, and I get something new each time.
Mm. Wow. Yeah, definitely, family. Make sure you sign up for the university. I'm gonna put the link. Let me see where the link is at. Next semester begins March 4th. Yes, right here. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now, family. But make sure you look into this because I mean, the way Doc was breaking down this metaphysical stuff tonight. I mean, wow. We're gonna get to a few questions. Give me some good questions before we get out of here. We're gonna get to a few questions. Oh, and before we get to questions, let me share Doc's PayPal. Make sure y'all support the good doctor. You know, we like to take care of our teachers on this channel and show our appreciation for what they give to the community. So let's support this brother. He's been putting it down, holding it down for decades upon decades. A lot of the stuff that we see on the internet came from this brother. So make sure you support this brother right here. Hit up his PayPal, kemitearth@gmail.com. You know, he got banned from Cash App. He's got banned from several platforms. And y'all know what goes down when Doc starts talking. That's why we're going to be on Patreon tomorrow. But
Yeah.
make sure you support the brother, kemitearth@gmail.com.
Oh, if I may,
Yes.
our good brother Hank Rising Sun,
Yes.
but he asked me to tell everybody that sometime next week, he doesn't have it yet. We're going to be doing a whole a whole show on the wounded womb,
Mm.
and because he says that a lot of our sisters and our brothers are at war with one another,
Whew.
and
Bad. Real bad.
really, I mean, it's like one
Real
up. They got us in contention, but it's all around the feminist. And my book, The Wounded Womb, we came out early in the late 80s, and then again in the 90s, and then the final the final publishing was in I think 2005 or 2006, where I condensed the 1,500 pages into 700 and something pages that you could purchase. And if you want to be up on that, I would suggest you just go to lulu.com. That's lulu.com. And in the search box, just put The Wounded Womb, Philip Valentine,
Hmm.
and that'll put you on the purchase page, and you won't regret it because I keep getting calls from people. I was very, very fortunate that somebody in, I think, in the West Indies is
Hmm.
using it as a textbook.
Ooh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, and I'm getting a lot of good calls from Australia and different parts of the world where the book seems to be doing very well because
Excellent.
it's timely now. After
Yeah, no.
35 years, it's finally timely. Thank goodness.
Doc, man, it's sad. I had a brother tell me this was in December. And I mean, the brother told me, he said, Rich, it might be easier for me to walk on water than to get a good woman out here. And
Yeah.
just the stories that I hear. I mean, I was just talking to my cousin, my female cousins the other day, and the way the relationship game is bad out here, man. It's bad, Doc.
Yeah, I'm coming next week. I'm coming next week to try to bring some kind of sanity to the situation, both for men and women,
Mm,
because I understand what's going on with our sisters. They're just as much victims as we men, because
mm,
there is a force and a source outside of us that's controlling us. And
mm,
they're controlling our sisters through their emotions and through
mm,
what they've been forced to have to do because of the breakup, because of what society did to the men.
mm.
And this is a Roman tactic that I have to reveal to everyone. So you want to be there. I think he does magnets, crystals, and pyramids. It's something called magnets, crystals, and pyramids.
Yeah, I'll
And like,
share the link on my channel. I'll
oh,
share.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll call him
Yeah,
again.
and he and I think the sisters are asking me to do one on the wounded womb. But again, I have tomorrow in your Patreon. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna. Now is the time that we cannot hold our tongue where we can actually not have to hold our tongue,
Hmm. Hmm.
because everything regarding the Jabberwocky has shown everything that we've put out is now coming to pass.
Indeed.
And the people who are responsible for what they've been doing to us are now going to be taken to task now that we have a new, not a new Senate, but a new House of Representatives. So, excuse me, there's been a mass resigning of senators and representatives now because they understand there's going to be a reckoning in
Mm,
Congress and in government.
mm,
It's going to happen. Now, this is deep. For those of you who understand what time it is, you want to rush down to Africa. Vladimir Putin put something out, and this is the thing. Everybody hating on Vladimir Putin, just like
mm,
they're hating on Trump and they're hating on everybody that tries to bring them some kind of light. Vladimir
mm,
Putin said Africa is just a cemetery for Africans.
mm,
Think about it. He says, when an African becomes rich, his bank account is in Switzerland. He said, when he's sick, he travels to France for medical treatment.
mm,
He invests in Germany. He buys from Dubai. He consumes Chinese. He prays to Rome or to Mecca. His children study in Europe. He travels to Canada, United States, and Europe for tourism. If he dies, he's buried in his native country only. Africa is just a cemetery for Africans. Now, if you look at it, what are we doing over there for ourselves? What are our African brothers and sisters just like over here? And they tell you that racism is dead. They tell you that there's no such thing as systemic racism. They tell you that supposedly that this new thing that they call critical race theory is separating us. Well, we already separate, and people don't know that. There are people going around town and going around universities like Ben Shapiro, the Zionist, talking about there's no such thing as systemic racism. But you know systemic racism exists in the very fact that all the images they tell you about the great men and great women always come up white. Like
Mm-hmm.
when they show you Socrates, for example. Socrates was, we know, a melanated man, nappy head, nappy beard. But they got him with this white face looking like the picture of some Roman Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about systemic racism, it's not systemic based upon the practice of it through whites against blacks, but the very structures that show greatness is always regimented towards white people who came and never really established any religion, never really had a philosophy of their own. Everything they did, they co opted.
Mm-hmm.
But our children are seeing these pictures and are told, Umbaya, everything is all right. We're in the same boat as everybody. No,
Mm.
no, we're not. If
Let's
you look
let's.
at our worth, if you look at our worth as far as fiscally is concerned, they have taken all of the monies that they're going to give and given it to people who ain't giving a goddamn thing back to it, people. All of the rappers,
Mm-hmm.
what have they actually built? What infrastructures have they put back into their own communities that they talk about? And why is it? And this is my pain that I carry. Why is it that when I am looking at rappers, old gods, they call them,
Mm-hmm.
why is it that when I'm looking at them and they're speaking about their experiences in music, that the only thing I see and hear is war stories about them getting killed, about who to fear, who was the baddest, who was the worst hood, who did more jail time? That was not music.
Mm-hmm.
That was the destruction of our society, destruction of generations of our young people. They're killing one another in Chicago over this same type of mentality that was actually fostered through the emotions that was expressed as rap when they came out with rap. They talked about hood rap, gangster rap, the whole nine yards. Rap was not meant for that. Hip hop was not meant for the destruction of our society, but they destroyed it. They don't show you anything else. And now they degenderize it. Hip hop used to be about alpha males. Now you got all these queened up female looking men walking around in dresses. What's happening? Okay?
Man.
So I don't want to hear about your music based upon you sitting there talking about how bad this person was, and when what's his name from Death Records walked into the place, everybody started cowering. That's not, it's what, gangster. You know, we've lionized criminals.
Mm.
So that's all our children see and want to be, and that's why a lot of our sisters, and this is why the wounded woman is going to be so important. A lot of our sisters look at the gangsters as the ones that they want to deal with in the very primes of their lives. And then when they find
Facts.
out these gangsters ain't got nothing to do for them, now they come looking for the nerds that they were saying, yo, get back. You ain't got no shoes, you ain't got the right car, you ain't got the right this, and so forth. So they've programmed our sisters and they programmed our brothers. Brothers to kill one another, our sisters to say, this is the one I want. And only 1% out of the tens of thousands of women, all of them want this 1% of dude who looks good,
Mm.
who got the money, who's the pimp, who's the one who's the alpha, who's the one who got bodies. No,
Drop.
no, I'm hurt when I look at you putting Cardi B as your representative to government. I'm hurt because she could get away with drugging men and stealing from them, but Cosby got to go to jail.
Mm.
No, you know, I know that I'm kind of ranting, and I don't mean to rant, but you all got to look at the fact that it's going to get serious over the next year to 10 years, going into 2030, there's an agenda afoot, and that is to destroy you, to kill you. Sisters, you got to stop aborting your children. Sisters, you got to start closing your legs. Sisters, you got to start training your girls, the little girls, that the lifestyles that you see these rapping females. What is this crap? What is this garbage that Beyonce is singing today? That they're putting to little girls are dancing to today. What is the lyrics that I keep hearing? What's the new lyrics?
I'm not sure. I'm
We're
not
going
sure.
to f up tonight. Hmm?
Um.
Yeah,
Okay, I know what you're talking about. I know what
yeah.
you're
Listen to what this witch with a B is singing, and y'all are just dancing along with it. Are you listening to the words going into your ears while you're shaking your ass? Are you letting the little girls that I see dance to that music, being conditioned?
talking.
You think about it. Is Beyonce really somebody you're going to be listening to, should be listening to with that song? Nice rap, nice group. Is she going to get the best writers? We're going to F up tonight. That's what you want to hear in your lyrics. Go back into the 60s and 70s and listen to love songs and think, just imagine, would you think about them putting that type of lyrics in their song and you think they would get on the radio?
Mm.
Anyway, I'm done with that. And like I said, the
Mm.
wounded wound is going to be something I'm really sick and tired of hearing this because I have to stay on point because I would just shut things down and say the hell with it. But
Mm.
because I'm so connected to my people, connected to you, Brother King Simon, to Brother Hank, and just the brothers and sisters who are out there trying to do the work to raise our people up.
Mm.
That's why I stay on. That's why I stay on the hook. That's why I stay here.
Wow, man, what a show, Doc. What a show, man. Haven't you ain't been on here in a while. It's good to have you back on here, man.
Good to
Let's
be back, bro.
we're gonna get to this. We're gonna take about probably 2 or 3 questions before we get out of here. But reminder, Doc's PayPal, KevinEarth@gmail.com. Let's get to this first question from the chat. Ask the doctor, does he know that ancient Egypt is here in the Americas?
Yes, I do. Up around Chicago, what Chicago was, then down in South America, in the southeastern portion of South America, there was a place called Egypt. Yes, and the Mississippi River was Nile, and in the southern region of the Americas, the Amazon was the Nile.
Mm. So was the Mississippi was the Nile before the Nile was the Nile over
Yeah,
there?
Nile. Yeah. So the Nile is actually Hapi.
Uh-huh. Okay.
The Mississippi was called something else. One of my Moorish brothers, I forgot the name it was called. But the Mississippi is essentially, Mississippi is actually a name for the fact that it wanders. I forgot what the actual name Mississippi actually meant, what it was derived from. I think the Yamakra or the Yamasi had named it.
They want to know where can they get Wounded Womb, Doc? Is it on Amazon? The Wounded Womb?
No, don't go to. Oh no, don't go to Amazon. Amazon is where people who bought my book are collectors. They're personal, individual collectors of books. My book is not listed in the ISBN. I didn't want it. So it's listed as a, what you call it, a rare book.
Mm.
So if you go there, the book that they're selling it for, they sell it for $100, $200, $300. One time I saw it for $750 back in the day when it was rare.
Woo.
Right.
Wow.
That's not my publisher. That's an individual collector. So go to lulu.com.
Okay.
LULU is my publisher. .com, and in there put the Wounded Womb and my name.
Okay.
You don't have to put the doctor in front. Just put Philip Valentine.
Let's get to the next question. They want to know Novatech. Is it still a good investment?
Yes, I've done my vetting. I mean, this is me personally. I'm just putting it out there for you all to check it. You can go up to Novatech, what is that? Novatech FX
Let me tell you.
.com.
Yeah, NovatechFX.com. Yes.
Right. And if you want to do it by yourself, you can go to, if they ask you for a referral number, the referral number is 234587.
I'm putting it in the chat right now, family. It's in the chat.
Right. So the referral number is 234587. Now, if you want help and you want to do it through Reggie Juzang, Reggie Juzang will then tell you what will help you to be placed in a proper direction. But you got both ways for you to deal with the Novatech, and I do suggest that you do that. I'm probably in the earlier part of the lecture that I'm going to do on the flatted plane. I'll probably do a little something on the Novatech to show you the gradual funds that I accrued based upon me working this business. And it's a little slow because again, it's black owned and there's hundreds of thousands of people coming in at this time. She doesn't want to stay around America because I think that they tried to threaten her life because she would not give them the formula to her success.
Mm.
So she is not in the Americas. She lives offshore.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
but yes, it's been good to me. And I suggest that you just stay vigilant. And every time you do get a dividend, every week, it comes every week a dividend because she trades every week. You get a little dividend depending on the amount you put in, anywhere from 250 all the way up to 5 to 10,000 people doing. And that money is what they are trading against cryptocurrency and the forex, the foreign exchange.
Mm.
Now, the cryptocurrency is not, she's not trading against the coins themselves. She's trading against the actual activity of trading and buying and selling.
Mm.
So everybody is buying at one point, everybody is selling at one point. So the percentages having to do with buying and selling is what she's actually monetizing that the Novatech with.
Mm.
So you can get, if you just want to do it for yourself, every Friday there's a dividend. You fold the dividend over into your principal, and now you got a higher principal for it to trade. If you want to do it for Saturday, then invite people in, and then you talk to Reggie, and then they'll show you where to put the people so you can build up a tree, and then you get paid. You get paid Saturdays as well.
Indeed. Let's the information is right there on the screen, family. The referral number, Reggie Juzang, Novatech is right there on the screen, family. We're gonna get to this next question.
Right?
Is the Grand Canyon a bleed over to Mars or Africa?
The Grand Canyon essentially, to me, was a giant ocean at one time,
Mm.
covered in water,
Mm-hmm.
but it dried out twice, 2 or 3 times, and it was essentially built up, uh, and it was a storage place for a lot of ancient Kemetic artifacts.
Mm.
They shut it down. The I forgot the name of the museum, but the American Museum, where they have all the airplanes and everything,
Mm-hmm.
they sent a, uh, a configuration or what is that, a constituency of people, of researchers, to find out whether this cave that contained the pictures of Shiva, Brahma, and hieroglyphics and the whole 9 yards was real. Once they found out, because the water levels had dropped and a cave was seen, they
Mm.
saw that they had all these artifacts were inside of this cave. And so, yes, the Grand Canyon is not a bleed over to Mars. The Grand Canyon essentially was an ocean at one point that dropped its level, was inhabited by our ancestors, and left after a while. As far as Mars is concerned, don't look at these planets as actually being solid things. That is a lie. That's NASA giving you an impression that somehow these orbiting lights that you see, that's based in sonoluminescence. Look it up. Sonoluminescence. It's the blinking of a light. When you get a powerful enough telescope and look to where they tell you Mars is, you will see that everything about that thing that's supposed to look like Mars is distorted. You'll see something like a light that just keeps moving like this, and it's pulsating, and it's the specific figurations that the pulse gives is what they're using in NASA as the lines that they put in there to show that somehow this is a planet. It's not a planet. The word planet comes from the Greek planetai, which means wanderer. A wanderer does not get into a fixed orbit. A wanderer just simply wanders.
Mhm.
So they knew back then that what they looks like planets are essentially light configurations of sound. Remember what we said that they found when they collided those two protons together. They found a quantum, I mean, I named it, a quantum central resonance.
Mhm.
All right? And that quantum central resonance is shown in every living thing. And that's what you're looking up and above the dome and inside the dome, trapped inside the dome, and above the dome is water. Trapped inside the dome is a liquid and these pulsating harmonics that's inside the thick space of the dome. That is the light harmonics that are essentially feeding what we call the stars
Mhm.
on the dome. And they're giving the dome itself as it's circling, as the dome and the stars are circling above us in the cyclotron that we're in,
Mhm.
we are getting certain pulsations and instructions filtering through the sun and the moon and the light that we're getting. We're getting instructions that's matching the synaptic charges and the synaptic pulses that we see, light impulses that we see in our brain. They're connected directly to the hieroglyphics of the sky.
Mm. Wow. Hieroglyphics of the sky.
Yeah,
That's
that's what the stars are.
that's a show right there. Hieroglyphics of the sky. Wow.